Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, the former publisher who says he buried negative stories about former President Trump is back on the stand in his hush money trial. And the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken pays a visit to China. More about what he was doing there straight ahead.
Plus, rain chances look to return to in the work week. Your forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Donald Trump returned to a New York courtroom where he's charged with falsifying business records to cover up payments to a porn star. Before arriving at the courthouse, the former president made an unexpected detour. CBS's Michael George explains.
Donald Trump began his day with a campaign stop. Before heading to the courthouse, the former president greeted supporters at a Manhattan construction site and complained about his treatment in court.
They've taken my constitutional right away with a gag order. That's all it is. It's election interference.
From there, it was back to his criminal trial, where the former president is accused of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. David Pecker returned to the witness stand. The longtime tabloid publisher said he worked with Trump to buy damaging stories and then squash them during the 2016 presidential race. He said when Daniels was selling her story, he turned it down, but that he told Trump's fixer, Michael Cohen, that he should buy it and take it off the market. Prosecutors say the so-called catch-and-kill scheme was a crime.
The reason the government says it's illegal was because it was done specifically to influence the 2016 election. Keep information from the public.
The former president said this about Pecker.
David's been very nice. He's a nice guy.
Prosecutors say that was a message to Pecker and another violation of the judge's gag order. Trump, who's pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts, will be back in court on Friday when Pecker returns to the stand. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The case is the first ever criminal trial of a former U.S. president. With 4 ongoing prosecutions, this is the first of Trump's cases to reach a jury. A federal judge has upheld E. Jean Carroll's $83 million defamation verdict against former President Trump. Federal Judge Lewis Kaplan also denied Trump's motion for a new trial. Kaplan ruled the former president's legal arguments were without merit. He also added that the punitive damages awarded by the jury, quote, passes constitutional muster. Trump is separately appealing the verdict. Today, President Biden is announcing 4 new workforce hubs that will bring new jobs to different parts of the country. He'll be in New York to make the announcement where one of the new workforce hubs will be. They are expected to create thousands of new jobs and will also train and connect American workers to them. President Biden will visit the site of a future semiconductor chips manufacturing facility, which is expected to dramatically increase chip manufacturing in the U.S.
At the end of the day, Chips and Science Act is about creating economic resiliency and supply chains and creating good quality jobs, and this is doing that in droves and is one of the biggest announcements of the CHIPS program.
The other 3 new workforce hubs he's announcing are in Michigan, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. It brings the total number of Investing in America workforce hubs to 9. Earlier this week, we told you Secretary of State Antony Blinken would be making his way to China. The plan was for Blinken to have some tough conversations with senior Chinese officials. He paid a visit to Shanghai today, meeting with students and business leaders. Blinken stressed the importance of people-to-people ties between the two countries with the goal of understanding one another and finding a better way to work through their differences.
And the relationship between, whether you're Chinese, whether you're American, I think you know that this relationship between China and the United States is one of the most consequential, one of the most complicated in the world. But where the ballast really comes in, we can make sure that we are talking to each other, hearing each other, understanding each other.
Blinken said he would also like to see the number of Americans studying in China go up. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he will visit China next month. Putin made the announcement during a speech at a business convention, according to the Russian news agency TASS. Putin did not say what time in May he would be heading to China. The visit would be Putin's first foreign trip during his new term in office. The Pentagon says the U.S. delivered long-range missiles to Ukraine earlier this month. The Biden administration had previously refused to send such missiles, but then reversed course. The Pentagon says the missiles were quietly included in the $300 million aid package announced in March, and they were delivered to Ukraine this month. More of the missiles are expected to be included in the new military assistance package the Pentagon announced yesterday.
We are tracking some sunny and near average weather on this Thursday. A live look across the region, plenty of sunshine and blue sky, and those highs should be in the lower 70s. Most of us right now in the upper 60s to lower 70s, up to 74 in Harlan, 73 in Manchester, 67 for Jackson, and 65 over in Pike County for Pikeville at this hour. Not a drop on first alert pinpoint Doppler, and that will continue as we go into this evening. So if you have those plans for dinner or outdoor events this evening, the forecast looking really nice. We stay dry, also comfortable, and those lows not as cool as last night. Most of us wake up in the middle 40s to walk out the door on Friday. However, we are watching out for some changes by Friday, all thanks to this weather system. Now, no severe weather issues, no heavy rainfall issues, but we are tracking a few spotty showers to close out the work week. And the big story this weekend, we are warm, highs back in the middle 80s by Sunday, also pushing into your Monday. More details on that weekend forecast coming up in just a little bit. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. To some breaking news now out of Knott County. This, according to Knott County School Superintendent Brent Hoover, there was a fire that occurred at a construction dumpster near Heineman Elementary School a short time ago, just before 5 o'clock. That fire has since been put out. The fire was contained with minimal damage to the school facility. Everyone was evacuated from the building and there were no injuries reported. It was another tense day of protests on college campuses nationwide over Israel's war in Gaza. Hundreds of people have been arrested at schools in Massachusetts, Texas, California, and now Georgia. Students who have been camping out at Columbia University for more than a week have until midnight to clear out. CBS's Danya Backus reports from Los Angeles.
Dozens of pro-Palestinian demonstrators remained camped out on Columbia's campus in New York City with the deadline to disband fast approaching.
We are calling upon Columbia University to divest, disclose, and provide amnesty for all students and faculty.
The school's president has said the university will have to consider alternative options for clearing the area if ongoing negotiations fail.
If you look at the actions of the police department, we have this handled. We do not need the National Guards.
Free Palestine! On the campus of UT Austin, where riot police showed up Wednesday, a small group of Jewish protesters held a separate rally Thursday to make their voices heard.
I hear their side and I understand that, but when they start attacking the religion and the ethnicity and not the country, that's when it becomes an issue for me.
Law enforcement has been stepping in to quell campus demonstrations from coast to coast, including on the campus of the University of Southern California, where over 90 people were arrested yesterday. Overnight, over 100 were taken into custody at Emerson College in Massachusetts, and 4 officers injured.
My friends were talking about how they witnessed some students get forcefully dragged out of the tents and then beat.
Earlier today at Emory University, Atlanta police were seen handcuffing people with zip ties who trespassed onto the school and breaking down tents. Still more are popping up just as quickly on other campuses as students stand in solidarity with those at Columbia, now at the center of a growing movement. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Campus protests are underway at about 13 U.S. colleges and universities. Students are calling for universities to cut all financial ties to Israel and amnesty for students punished for participating in those protests. New York's highest court has overturned disgraced Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction. The New York Court of Appeals said the judge in Weinstein's case made several improper rulings that prevented the 72-year-old from getting a fair trial. That included allowing women to testify about claims that were not part of the case.
What the highest court of New York says is that that evidence was so unduly prejudicial that its admission changed the course of the trial because the jury was looking at Harvey Weinstein, looking at his character, this propensity to act, and not looking at the crimes that were charged in New York.
The court ruled Weinstein will get a new trial. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, divorce is tough for many, not only emotionally, but financially. How to protect your money through divorce proceedings.
Plus, we are warming up for this weekend. Those details coming up after this break.